Distinguished citizens and residents of Antigua and Barbuda, I address you as the head of government, driven by the same deep concern that you all share over the recent surge in gun-related robbery and acts of violence plaguing our society. It is a matter of utmost urgency, and I assure you of my administration's unswerving commitment to take the fight to these criminal elements and to defeat them. Your government was elected to serve and protect. To protect you, the law-abiding citizens and residents of our nation, from the scourge of crime and violence. It is a matter of utmost. You and your children have an inalienable right to live free from fear. Assure that your safety and well-being are of our highest priorities. This is not just a duty. It is an obligation that neither I, as your Prime Minister, nor any member of your government will ever shrink from or apologize for. It's an obligation for which I accept full responsibility as your chief servant. We are resolute in our mission to protect you, no matter the senseless partisan rhetoric spouted by the opportunistic voices of our political opponents. While they manufacture excuses, giving comfort to these degenerates for their criminal behaviors, and distract from the issue at hand, your government remains focused on ensuring the safety and security of every citizen and resident. Let me be crystal clear. Neither I nor my government have ever interfered with the independence of the judiciary. However, as the elected representatives of the people, we are obligated to voice our concerns when it comes to curbing the rising tide of violence in our nation. This is not interference. It is a necessary dialogue in the fight against crime and violence. The electorate of Antigua and Barbuda entrusted us with the responsibility to combat crime and to maintain the security of our nation. We expect the judiciary and the legislature to join us in this endeavor. We must stand united in protecting our people from the predators who threaten the peace and tranquility in our communities, especially those who wield guns and endanger innocent lives. In this regard, I want to take a moment to commend the Commissioner of Police and the entire police force who serve as the guardians of our people against crime and lawlessness. Their readiness to put their own lives at risk and standing up to the criminals who terrorize our communities is nothing short of heroic. We're all aware of the brazen willingness of some criminals to shoot at the police while they are conducting their duty to protect us. I hereby unapologetically state that while our police officers will continue to act with all due care and caution, they have a fundamental right to protect themselves. They too have rights. They too have families who expect them to come home safely after carrying out their duties. I also wish to extend my commendation to the members of the Antigua and Barbuda Defense Force who have stepped up to assist the police with patrols that secure our homes and businesses, ensuring that our people remain safe and secured. Their contribution is invaluable, and together with other security forces, including ONDCP, our security forces stand as a formidable barrier against those who seek to destabilize our country and to disrupt our way of life. To those who believe that we will retreat from our duty to combat crime, let me assure you that you are mistaken. We shall not retreat and we shall not relent. In the fight against violence, particularly gun violence, we will be firm, we will be unyielding, and we'll be relentless. We have already enacted legislation to support stricter sentencing, extending the maximum penalty for gun crimes up to 10 years. Yet, when the courts hand down sentences that seem disproportionate to the gravity of the crime, it leaves us perplexed. Despite this, we will at the next sitting of our Parliament enact increased penalties and tighten the conditions of bail to keep these criminal elements off of our streets. However, the judiciary in the sub-region should consider realigning the sentencing guidelines and conditions of bail for gun crimes, in keeping with the current realities of crime and violence, which is now a public health epidemic in the Caribbean. To that end, I have instructed the Attorney General, the Honorable Stedroy Benjamin, to engage with the Acting Chief Justice to discuss this pressing issue. Our goal is to work closely with the judiciary to increase mandatory sentencing for gun crimes and ensure that justice is served swiftly and effectively. This issue is not unique to Antigua and Barbuda. We have seen the devastation that unchecked gun violence has wrought in other parts of the Caribbean. In Haiti, criminal gangs have terrorized the population for years, committing heinous acts with impunity. We will not allow that to happen here. Not now, not ever, and certainly not under my leadership. Let me reassure our citizens and residents that gangs and those involved in gun violence will not be allowed to hold our people hostage. We'll fight them, and we'll fight them fire with fire, steel with steel, until they are defeated. I wish to state categorically that the constitutional and human rights of the lawless must not overshadow or take precedent over the human and civil rights of the law-abiding. No one should fear going to work only to be robbed or killed by those who lack empathy, have no respect for the value of work, the value of legislation, or the value of life and property. Therefore, I continue to urge the judiciary to realign their sentencing practices with regional governments' efforts to combat crime and violence. There are currently 474 repeat offenders who are roaming our streets with impunity. A significant number of them are on bail, armed and dangerous, pursuing a full-time career of crime and violence at the expense of our people. If the judiciary continues to extend routine bail, short or soft sentences on these hardened criminals, then their influence in attracting others to a life of crime and violence will expand, and their numbers will continue to swell and soon exceed the aggregate number of law enforcement officers in our country. I beseech the regional judiciary to act urgently in realigning the sentencing guidelines and to administer stiffer penalties, including mandatory jail time for gun crimes. Your libertarian policies to protect the constitutional human rights of hardened criminals is now a significant impediment to effective crime fighting. My administration has prioritized funding for law enforcement to increase their crime fighting efficacy. As a consequence of a meeting yesterday of the National Security Council, which I chaired, we have taken several significant measures, including a more coordinated approach among the various agencies to enhance law enforcement. Several $1 million will be made available immediately to acquire additional assets, including 2 vessels to improve maritime surveillance of our porous maritime borders that is proliferated with bays and quays, facilitating the smuggling of contraband, including arms and ammunitions. We will be acquiring 10 additional surveillance drones to enhance law enforcement crime fighting capabilities, and we'll be installing additional cameras on our streets with superior technology to improve surveillance. Additionally, more vehicles are being acquired and equipped with radios to facilitate a rapid response to these incidents of crime and violence, especially robberies. We have taken further measures to enhance law enforcement, including the hiring of 140 additional officers and the acquisition of more gun-sniffing dogs to identify guns and ammunitions that may be entering through our air and seaports. The acquisition of these crime-fighting assets will be buttressed with training and the use of digital technologies, including artificial intelligence technologies. Joint police and military patrols have increased and will continue to be a key part of our strategy. The police has also established a guns and gang suppression unit to fight these gang members who are destabilizing our society. We will be introducing anti-gang and juvenile curfew legislation to curb criminal behaviors involving juveniles and to protect our minors from predators. Our gangs suppression strategy will also include counseling and anti-gang public education and awareness in our schools. Also, alternative rehabilitation programs will be introduced in our penal institutions to reduce recidivism. Those youth who are involved in criminal activities will be housed at a juvenile detention facility to be constructed on the Defense Force premises at Crabs Peninsula. Our cash incentive program for information leading to the confiscation of illegal firearms has already seen results, with 70 firearms recovered last year and over 40 so far this year. My distinguished countrymen and countrywomen, we have equipped our law enforcement with the tools and resources they need to take the fight to these criminals and to defeat them. The consequences of allowing these criminals to destabilize our country are too dire to contemplate. We cannot grow our economy or build a prosperous future for people and future generations in an environment riddled with crime and violence. Defeating these criminals is not just a priority, it is an absolute necessity for the continued safety and prosperity of our nation and its people. Let me be abundantly clear. While we have pursued a very liberal immigration policy, welcoming those who continue to contribute positively to our society, we will show no tolerance for any immigrant involved in criminal activities. They will be deported immediately upon conviction and service of their time in prison and will never return to our shores. To every criminal, whether a national or an immigrant, I say this: you have a choice. I say to you that crime and violence will not pay. And those of you who engage in crime and violence will surely pay. There are ample opportunities to earn an honest living in this country. There are employment shortages in several sectors, including the construction sector. Those who choose the path of crime and violence will do so at their own peril. These able-bodied criminals have no excuse to be perennial loiterers and to prey on our people. Instead, they need to become productively engaged, making meaningful contributions to nation building. My government is committed to an all-of-society approach to breaking the cycle of lawlessness and violence. This is a challenge that demands the involvement of every citizen. It begins with effective parenting in the home, nurturing responsible and empathetic youth, and extends to the expanded roles of the church, schools, social workers, and community activists in engaging our young people positively. I call on all these stakeholders to join our government in this national effort. Now is not the time for carping at each other, for stakeholder jabs, that is jaundiced appropriation of blame, or to seek political mileage or social media likes through libertarian, ignorant, and partisan articulations. This is a time for crime-fighting solidarity involving all stakeholders, all citizens, and residents. Fighting this scourge of crime and violence requires a national response, with each citizen, each resident, taking full responsibility and playing his or her role in defeating these criminals. For example, our citizens and residents have an obligation to routinely share intelligence with law enforcement to assist them in apprehending these criminals. Finally, it is within our power to defeat the criminals as we collectively build a safer, stronger, and more prosperous Antigua and Barbuda. We must stand in solidarity in this fight to protect lives and livelihoods. I thank you, and may God continue to bless our beloved nation and its people.
Yes, give thanks. Tiger's Nest in full effect. And give thanks for your presence with us on a beautiful, beautiful Tuesday evening. And of course, family, as you just heard for yourself, that was the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, that's the Honorable Gaston Brown. And of course, a very serious speech, a very serious rendition there. I give thanks for each and everyone who may not be in Antigua and Barbuda, but took the time to sit in with us for that one there. That was a long awaited speech, really, as of course the nation's leader promised that he would address the rise in crime and gun violence. Definitely had a strong and stern sound. But of course, I would like to say a few things about that and add some more. So it's the Tiger's Nest, man. And of course, yes, for those who may not be around, and I'm sure wherever you are in the world, I mean, it's just international affairs right now. We're talking about preserve the generations to come. I must say, very thankful for each and everyone who is with us this evening. This is Radio Anu, the international flavor, the universal spice. PriestIsaacInstitute.com. Yes, Royal Family, we want to talk about the preservation of the generations to come. A serious presentation a moment ago. Let's get into it. Share the link, family. Give thanks. Family, we're looking at exactly 22 minutes now, moving up on to the hour of 8 o'clock. And of course, definitely we are also streaming on the YouTube even at this hour, and give thanks for each and everyone with us. Definitely here, home base, talking about Radio Anu, the international flavor, the universal spice. Yes, Royal Family. Many of you would have heard the presentation that I would have given earlier today, as it relates to the very same situation that you heard the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda speak about a moment ago. And we are speaking of the situation as it relates to crime and violence here in the land. Now, I'm not going to replay my speech, but as I said in that speech itself, this is nothing new. Crime and violence and even murder. But of course, within, the past few weeks, months, even the past year, there has been a serious uptick, a serious surge, especially in gun violence, especially amongst the youth. I mean, the last 2 weeks alone, we're talking about some serious mayhem itself. And that is what would have obviously pushed many ones and encourage others like myself to make a public declaration on this situation. Other ones would have come forward, including what you call them, including lawyers, um, different individuals would have come forward. Just pardon me there a moment. All right, just making sure. Okay. All right. All right. I think I have that there. Yes, please forgive me. Ones would have come forward, different ones would have come forward, and even the church council would have come and issued a statement concerning the crime and violence. Everyone seems to take it maybe from a slightly different angle. You know, of course, the law, the police officers will definitely encourage people, as you would have heard the Prime Minister say there a moment ago, to come and give us information, tell us what you know, and then let us spread the word around, spread the word to us, I should say, and let us get everything in order. So specifically, you know, when you observe what is taking place here, you know, the situation that is happening on the ground, as I would have said in that speech earlier, uh, just 2 days ago, a young princess, 15 years of age, was found like hacked to death on a beach. And this is a beach that I usually visit. It's called Runaway Beach. I think the official name is Old Runaway Beach. And the sister herself, again, apparently went to a party the night because there was a clip with her mother that came out as well. And she was the one that gave the understanding of what took place. She didn't come home. She was last seen like 3 a.m. the morning. I don't know exactly where, but that's what the news said. And she just got a photograph via Instagram or something. Someone in some group, some WhatsApp group, one of these social media groups, sent her a picture of her dead daughter. Just as simple as that. And you know, and when they speak of the young girl that died, that was murdered, really, they speak of her. She would have attended a school known as Princess Margaret School, and I don't remember what farm she was in, either third or something. And they say she's always first in class and does her work well, and the whole vibes. And when you see the picture, she just has that total innocent look as the beauty of a young girl I'm speaking of, and you would say, like, well, what on earth? I mean, in fact, it was this situation, that would have moved many to speak, even the PM of the land. I know that for sure. Yeah, every night, almost every evening, you could watch the local news and you're sure to see some movie. I mean, it's almost ridiculous now. Almost every night when you watch the news, you can bet that you're going to see some supermarket robbery, some little shop stick up place, pizza place stick up, some ice cream shop, some place getting stick up. And I mean, cameras all around. So you see when the fellas pull up, or when they walk up, or when he walk up. And then the other camera shows you when he comes inside. You get it from all angles, Farah. You get it from every angle. And I'm talking about crimes that are unsolved. But you're seeing it play out live and that, well, maybe not live, but not too long after on television, almost every night. As I would have said in the speech, this at least the island, although I said, we're less than 200 square miles, it's because it's 62 square miles Barbuda, 108 square miles Antigua. So I just kind of did an addition and an approximate number. But my point really here is most of this these activities, pardon me, that we're speaking about, taking place right here on the island of Antigua. Nobody killing nobody in Barbuda. Nobody chopping up. I mean, things happen over there too, don't get me wrong, but not nowhere close to what we are talking about on the 108 square miles. You don't know what's going on here. Well, maybe you do, because again, that's the world in many corners, eh? If it's every night, if it's not kidnapped, people that gone missing last year, they're finding them this year. I mean, it's I must laugh sometimes. You have to meditate, and it's not funny, eh? It's not funny at all. It's not funny at all. So when the young princess now was found, not shot, not like hacked, hacked like someone took a cutlass and chop her down. Just think of this. What on earth? There's nothing. I myself said, I mean, I don't know her, but I myself said, listen, I would like to see. I ain't gonna go too far, but I would like to see. I just would like to see who did that. I would just like to know. If you give me a wish right now, I'm telling you, I mean, that's beyond any explanation. There's nothing. No judge should ask anything. Nothing. There's no question. Once we know he did it, there's no question. Or whoever did it, however the story went. Hmm. A few years ago, not too long ago, maybe 4 years ago, there was this individual. He's still there in the prison. They call him the vampire killer. He killed people and I'm telling you, boy. A young man, how old was he at the time? 19, 20, 21, because he was in the news for a while. He escaped, and when he escaped, he killed somebody else again. And he's a fella that would have bottles of blood in his little wherever they found him. So he got that name. Honestly, I can't even remember his name, but they call him the vampire killer. Can't remember his name, but I should, because I never really refer to him as that. I don't really take up aliases and nicknames that people put on people. Yes, they find him with, I mean, if he's guilty of what they say he's guilty of, he ain't no joke. I'm telling you. He escaped and done a man. And of course they find him. Yeah. Now, when he was big in the news, I myself would have used him on the national media to touch a chord with the society as it relates to preserving the generation to come and the younger generation that is here with us. And I would have asked, what was he doing, Mr. Vampire Killer, 10 years ago when he was 11? He's 21 now. In fact, he was 20 and 19. I think he was 19 when he started to become a household name. Yeah, man, it's a couple of people the man done, man. A few people he took out. So 19 years old and you living like that. What were you doing when you were 9? And let me be clear, eh? This is not a society as yet where you have some extremely hardened criminals at 9. They have societies like that, eh? Believe me, you know that. I don't want to make the thing sound light, eh? Even for the size of the island. But if you compare here to some other places, what is this? And we're not staying in nobody community, but when you go into Central America and you start to go into certain Colombia discussion, and yeah, you know that. We're talking about some serious different levels, some different levels. A lot of what we have here is a lot of youths just gone wild. With the case with the young sister that was chopped up, it's almost like I see that somewhere else. I'm telling you the truth. It's as if I have that in its own bracket. Yeah, but otherwise than that, it's just a lot of madness. I mean, that is by itself. As I would have said before, I would love to see. I don't want to see, the movie star that walked into the supermarket last night with his face masked up. I mean, come on. I just give thanks he didn't shoot nobody. And that's usually the case, Usually nobody get hurt. Maybe they get traumatized. I'm not trying to make light of it because I'm laughing, because it's a very, very serious thing and not nothing to laugh about. In that sense, I laugh because I can laugh. Isaac means laughter. That's what Isaac means, laughter. I'm given a special word from the Most High Himself. So I don't have to worry. I can say it the way that I've been given and blessed to say it because I know the severity of the situation. And we're not just talking about it, we are actively doing something about it. So if I share a joy, I have the prerogative to share a joy in my own self. Believe me, because if we wouldn't laugh, maybe we would do something else. But anyway, one of the main things that is still not addressed is the strong educational program for the youths. I must say, the Prime Minister would have brought an agenda that would address it right away. And from the force that it sounds like he's ready to come down with, may curb it almost immediately from how he's sounding. What I would have put on the table may be a slight bit different because I'm looking at a systematic program that would address the psychological state of the youths today, right now, going all the way back to the youths in the womb. So there are different aspects to this situation here. Well, I will focus on the educational aspect of it because education never stops. You don't have to go to school to get education. Just to be alive, you are being educated. Even if it's on the street, if you it could be from maybe your friends educating you, or the television is a big headmaster, school principal. Magazines can educate you, the radio, oh, the music, the genre of music, all of this is education. So you are being educated no matter what. It doesn't matter if you go to school or not, you're being formed. That's what education does. It forms you. That's what information put you in formation. Mhm. So you're gaining knowledge, especially when you reach a certain age, you start to choose so-called right from wrong, and you start to decide which path you want to go. You don't want to be around mommy and daddy anymore, especially in this society where we're not structured like that. We're not in the communal living like in ancient Africa. So there's nothing really to even hold you on to mommy and daddy, actually. Yeah, there's nothing to hold on to as it relates to a strong community. So you got to look and try to find who you are now. And nothing wrong with that. That's natural, you know. But you are supposed to examine yourself in a community that is already structured. That's what I'm saying. A community that you know will be there for you, a community that educates you properly, a community that supplies you with your wants and needs. A community that is well structured. You don't have to leave your community to get a job and all of that. So you see, you have no security. You cannot really lean on your community. Even the village is dead now. There's no grandparents around, no old people talking to young people anymore. I can tell you that for sure. Mentors and role models are hard to find. So even though you live with maybe mommy and your sister and your bigger or younger brother, you're still on your own. So you're left with your own thoughts. What will I become? Just the other evening, the police had a chase with a car of, I think it was four of them in the car. Four either would-be robbers or they just robbed someone. But anyway, the chase ended in an accident. I'm chuckling again, but anyway, it's all right. The chase ended in an accident. And according to the news, according to the streets, I heard something else, but I wouldn't even repeat what the street says. But according to the news, uh, they arrested four young men, all of them under 18, eh? And they found some weapons and whatever they found. Uh, no, I mean, no, that's accurate, I'm just saying, but the streets added something else, but I'm not going to add what the streets said. I'm just going to leave it at that. Let me say what the news said. Leave it at that. And that is why now you would have heard even the prime minister speak about even the detention center for the young ones, because these young ones are in the prison, eh? And of course, that's a big concern to many people here, that underage people as such are going to the the prison, which is designed for people of a certain age then, and constitutionally and the whole works. But there is not according to the infrastructure and the structure of the government that is running this nation, there is not a place for the juveniles. Back when I was younger, there was a place for the juveniles that they call the boys training school. Um, in recent years, there have been talk about somewhat reviving that, but that's why you would have heard the PM say a moment ago that they are establishing something up at the Defense Force, if I'm correct with what I heard. And that is where they would be housing, I guess, the younger criminals on the 18, the 15, and the 16. No, this is serious, eh? They held four youths the other day for gang raping. I don't know if it's a little girl or what, because these were little people, 9 years old and of that state. And I'm talking about every day you're hearing this. According to a report, not a report, but an article that I looked up last night just to see the population is 94,000 people. According to that, they have here in Antigua, 94,000 people. I know it's somewhere around 100,000 since I've been small. It has always been 100,000. on the presentation I made earlier, I said we have less than 150,000. I was just being generous. But you can clearly see in the little environment and the handful of people, and every single day you are sure, every day, you're sure to hear at least three things. And most of it is amongst the youths. As I said, there was a why the police is being commended. There was a robbery that took place the other day, and they intercepted the getaway move. And according to the reports, the getaway people started to fire at the police. There's a little clip of it. Yes, there's a video of it as well. And the police started to bust back, and every man in the car get shot, and one of them died. I think the ages were 31, 28, and 18, if I'm not mistaken, is the 28-year-old man that died. But 18-year-old get so 18-year-old with a 31-year-old, and the 28-year-old was the one that got taken out. That was just maybe how long ago? Maybe 6, 7 days ago, if that long. Maybe 5, 6, 7 days ago, no more than that for sure. So that's one of the recent episodes, and many other things. And obviously, let's not speak about what doesn't make the news. Yes. So really, family, the environment, it's not something that the environment has been accustomed to. Of course, things rise and fall. Yes, you do have a time when even rape. There was a time when there was this whole this like a series of rapes taking place, and it appeared to have been an organized sort of well planned set of events that was taking place at that time, but that was a serious time as well. But I'm just showing to you again, we can talk about this all night long. And to be very honest, when you really put your the boots on the ground and you go amongst the community and you listen to what ones are saying, it's a lot of huffing and puffing. It's not really answers. There's people upset and saying, oh, the youths this and the youths that, and that's about it. Again, family, there's so many children that are seeking guidance. We don't see these little ones. I am not convinced that I live in a society that loves children. I don't care what nobody tell me. And I have the authority to say that right now. You can't tell me that the community that I'm a part of, any one of them, any community that I'm a part of, I don't see that we have no real, serious, divine love for young people, hoping that we get in a generation that will get the job done. I don't get that impression. I do not get that impression at all. And you got to remember, I'm into that business there, checking for the youths. That's what I do, especially when it comes to their psychological outlook, especially when it comes to their Afrocentricity, because I know that knowledge of self, knowledge of who you are, knowledge of your roots will definitely assist you in determining how you behave, your characteristics. Of course, you're born with certain characteristics. Yeah, we go into the heavens, but you can evolve. You can, to use the term, develop specific characteristics within yourselves that will benefit you in the present and in the future. I will use the example that I use all of the time. The voodoo tradition in West Africa, in The Wretched of the Earth, Frantz Fanon, the great author, speaks about the people of the voodoo tradition. And in that tradition, if a man was to look on his brother's wife, just to look on his brother's wife in a way that was not right, remember, he didn't tell anyone, he just looked at his brother's wife. He would not need a judge or a jury. He would go within himself of self. This is what Frantz Fanon said, the ST, in the book, The Wretched of the Earth. I'm sourcing it for you. Again, the principle of voodoo, the voodoo thing that they tell you about, and voodoo chicken and voodoo doll, you're wasting time. The ancient voodoo tradition, not the one that has been propagandized. The true voodoo tradition, the Obaya, all of them ancient traditions there. The principle was so strong that if a man was to use his eyes and to undress his brother's wife, then let's say, and maybe he didn't even go that far, he, according to the book, would bring some sort of present for remission of his own sins to the same family. I don't know how they work it out. I don't know if he tell them what he thought. But the point is that no one needed to condemn him. Now, obviously, it's not a society like that. Obviously, what he's trying to show you in the book is that if a person just happens to maybe slightly lose it a bit and just somehow gone into the fleshy, lusty meditation, he would shake it off because that's not them. Like, hey, wow, what's going on here? Oh man, no man, I gotta be careful. I'm going around these Europeans too much, and you may take that as an offense. No man, there ain't no offense. That's the truth. That's how it happened. Remember, we are the creator of writing. We created language, eh? We created language. We had we had scores of languages before anyone else started to speak. And the reason why I'm saying this to you is to highlight again, we never had any word for rape. We never had any word for homosexuality. We never had any word for old people's home, and we didn't even know what you were talking about. You see the 42 laws of Ma'at where it says, I have never stolen. We never even knew what to steal was. You know how we learned that? We saw the enemy stealing. We saw the enemy taking up something that we know wasn't his, and then hiding it behind the rock and waiting for everybody to go home and then put it in the bag. And we said, but wait, what is he doing there? He's stealing. He's what? He's stealing. What is that? He's taking up something that is not his with the intention of not giving it back. People do that? Yeah. What you call it again? Stealing. Come here, my brothers. We need to put this in the law. We have never stolen. That's what you call it, right? Yes, stolen, steal. You have it. We have never stolen. Yeah, because we never had no word for that. We have never raped. That's what the laws of Ma'at says, what we never do. And we only realize we never did it when we see people doing it. If Ma'at was still writing that, we would say, I have never LGBTQI and the rest of it. Straight up. Because we don't even know what you're talking about. What? Let me show you. No. We don't want to show us a thing. It's all right. Just write it for us. We have never done them stuff there. Never. That is why when we went into captivity and bondage, we had to be born again and refresh ourselves. So now it's not we have never. To clean us up, the Most High had to teach us, thou shalt not steal. Because somebody taught us to steal. Thou shalt not kill, because somebody taught us to kill. We never had these words, not even the words in our language. And I'm not going to make nobody diss the esteemed Franz Fanon. He explained to us that our standard was so high that we would not even in our mind do the corrupt. And that is why Christ said in the Bible that even in the days of Moses, it was said that even if a man was to commit fornication or woman fornication and whatever punishment they would receive, but verily, verily, I say unto you, from the time you think of it in your mind, you have already done it. That's the Christ, eh? I may have been paraphrasing, but I mean, King James and them were paraphrasing too. Yeah. What you have conceived, you have already achieved. Straight up. These are just principles. So the point is that the ancient voodoo principle, voodoo, the thing that they teach you to devilize. I made up the word. It's all right. That's English. You can make up word. People make up word all the time in English. Voodoo is from the pit of hell. That's what they teach you. So you can stay away from your ancient African principle. But when you go and you look at the African principle of voodoo, it's a principle of love. It's a principle of balance. Such a pure principle that if you just think wrong, you go and bathe in the river and sacrifice to Aman Ra and go to the family that you wish to do ill to and tell them you're sorry. People don't even know what you're talking about. But you're sorry. Oh, no problem, Dave. Not Dave, but whoever. But they accept your gift. So this is why Marcus Messiah Garvey again. A people without knowledge of self is like a tree without roots. Now, if we, even though we have been severed from this culture here, listen to me, family, even though we have been severed from this culture here, just the knowledge of it, just understanding where we're coming from, just understanding the depths of the tradition that we have been kidnapped from would definitely inspire us. It would definitely encourage us to live a more decent life because we have knowledge of self. I mean, come on, man. You take a tiger from the jungle, you take the lion from the savannah, and not only just enslave it and put it in a cage, but somehow you find a way to make it think it's something else. And this is why I always bring up that whole scenario, if you want to call it that, of the caterpillar and the worm. Without going through no long story, we as a Black nation, we are the caterpillar. And we have a specific destiny. We will eventually spin that silky cocoon and then return, bust out of it, resurrected with wings like an angel, butterfly. And then we will go, and at that time we're not going to be eating greens like the caterpillar. The caterpillar love greens and leaf and get fat. But when the caterpillar comes out as a butterfly, then the caterpillar goes to the nectar, start to take in the sweet juice from the flower. That's the life of a flying caterpillar, the butterfly, you know. But you see, To the untrained eye, the caterpillar and the worm may look alike from a distance. And you see what has happened now, that the worm has enslaved the caterpillar. And the worm has given the caterpillar the worm's education, teaching it of all the great kings of Wormville, and totally lock you away from all the great butterflies that is in your history. Yeah. So you're worshiping the great worm god. Yeah, you're taking in the great worm education. Maybe you eating worm food as well, because you think you and the worm are the same because they look alike. Now, we don't have nothing against worms. In fact, we respect worms. Every creature has its purpose. Without worms, we would be in great problem. So I don't have no problem with the worm. But when in fact it's the caterpillar we're talking about here, when the caterpillar now is so far away from him and herself that he and her believe that he and she are worms, there's the problem. Because naturally, the time will come when the caterpillar by nature will need to spin a cocoon. Now, I'm not a caterpillar, but I would assume that the caterpillar would by nature instinctively feel, hey, something's going on here. Yeah. Whatever tingling the caterpillar gets, it's time to climb to the higher branch and perch on that now, well, like a bird as such, and hang on that and create the cocoon. And you know that within a specific time, you coming out and you're going to be a butterfly. And even as a butterfly, you know where to go. But because of the worm's education, even nature itself is being retarded because of the education process that you got at the worm's university. Yeah. So you see now, you're ready to grow your wings. And in comes mommy worm saying, I don't want no wings growing in my house. Because a lot of us went through that as Rastafari. When the spirit hit you and you say, yeah, man, I gonna grow my wings. I gonna locks up my hair. Here come mommy and daddy. Hey, hey, hey. Daddy head shine and mommy have a perm. Hey, hey, hey. Nobody growing no locks in my house. Why? Because mommy have her degree from Worm College and daddy, he may not have a degree, but he just as wormed as well. No, it's serious. And that is the exact situation that we are in right now. Caterpillars we are feeding off of the whole worm system from the time we've been enslaved up to now. That's why we go to these universities to become good worms. When you hear Caterpillar talking about he's a proud member of um, Cypher, Kappa, Alpha, and all of this kind of stuff, I mean, like, wow. Educated people sent to these places to be the leaders of tomorrow. And coming out talking about Greek letters, have no knowledge of Anpu and Heru, and don't know that all of the Alpha, Kappa, Beta, all of them are literally following Asa, Aset, and Heru, the first ancient esoteric occult science, the real masonry. But that's what happens when you're engulfed in the worm's system. Remember, the destiny of the worm is not to build no cocoon. That's not in the worm's plan at all. The destiny of the worm is not to fly, go anywhere. And the worm is not drinking no nectar. That's for you. Let me repeat, because you may think I'm anti-worm and you're a wormist and all sorts of things. You'll say, no, but I'm pro-caterpillar. Yeah, because I know our destiny. And until we get the teachings of the caterpillar, we're going to always think that we're worms, and we will act like worms, and we will do everything that the worm does. That's why you have so many channels on the television. So you have your choice of which channel you want to go down. It's a channel. You know what's a channel? Something that takes you somewhere, man. A channel. Wow, these killers. So this is why education is at the top of our agenda. This is why we take our time to create different means and ways to get to the youths. In a few days, I will be launching a brand new project. I can give you a quick sneak preview here, but no, let me wait. And no, it's all right. Not yet. Not yet. Something unlike anything you have ever seen. And it's designed for the youths, more so for the toddlers. Don't worry, because it's all about getting the youths to know who they are from an early stage. As I said, it is 12 years now we're doing the essay competition for African History Month. So you just imagine that 12 years ago, a 12-year-old, which would have won one of the many prizes that we were given at that time. That 12-year-old is 24 years old today, maybe already have a child. Now just think, just the fact that they were involved in, an exercise like that, the African History Month essay competition, especially if they, were part of like the group aspect of it, where maybe they heard of it at school, maybe we visited their school and we gave a lecture, and whatever the case is, as they mature, a life of crime may not be their first choice just because of that experience. And you must keep in mind that the negative experiences are much more. They totally outweigh the positive vibrations that are around us. As I said, how many channels on your cable TV? Maybe you have 300, some 500. You have a satellite dish, 1,000 channels. How many educational channels are there? Well, you have the History Channel. You see, that's problems too. That's his story. Well, you have the Astronomy Channel. Oh boy. And when did they go to the moon again? No, you see, so this is what I'm saying. Even what we consider to be education, like this is good education here. Because history itself is a big problem. You got to be careful. You must understand, by now we within the Tiger's Nest arena have reached to a point where you start to critique history properly. You don't just accept every old thing that is being said and say, oh yeah, this is what they say, so this is how it go. Because if you do that, you're going to start to accept even anything that comes on the news. So you want to teach the younger generations to be critical thinkers. The education system is not designed to make them critical thinkers. It's designed for you to go home and cram your head with what's in the book and come back tomorrow because we're going to give you a multiple choice test. That's it. And next week you forget all of that, but you have the certificate. So it's not, at least in most schools, it's not like a technique that is practiced. It's the same old colonialistic vibration. I mean, I can speak about these islands here. Rastafari is the same buildings. Just think about it. It's the same buildings from slavery days, or at least colonial days, pardon me. The same colonial buildings. Some of these schools around here, Black people could not go to the schools. Now it's all Black people in the schools. How times have changed. The same building, the same building. And these buildings have some history with them. We have a church here, big church. Everybody know big church. You take a walk in the churchyard. Wow, this is something else, eh? Have you ever heard about in West Africa at the slave dungeons where you have the slave castles? You'd always hear about them having church above and the slaves below. I'm sure everyone have heard about that. So the Portuguese and whoever in their nice castle upstairs, they're having church. They're worshiping God. And underneath, you have slaves shackled together, ready to be shipped off, peeing and doing everything right there in the dungeon. You know that, right? Okay, good. The cathedral here. You take a walk around the cathedral, you'll notice there's some bars underneath the church. So when the slaves, as they call them, would have, because you know on Sunday, the horse has a day off. Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah, man. That's Antigua's history I given you. On Sunday, the horse has a day off. We have a beautiful book which recounts the memoirs as such of one Papa Sammy, a great elder who would have passed on. I think he was 100 and plus when he passed on. And he speaks about the horse having Sunday off. But Master had to go to church, you know, and he's not going to walk. So somebody has to pull the buggy that the horse usually pulls. The dog can't do it. The cattle is going to take too long. So who is going to carry Master to church on Sunday? Right. One or two of his finest possessions, what they call slaves. Now, when you carry Master to church, you know you can't go inside. Maybe you don't want to, maybe you wanted to, I don't know, but you can't anyway, at least not at this time. Not yet. We haven't figured out how we're going to psychologically mind bend you people. So we don't want you in here yet. And don't try to read no Bible. We'll kill you for reading anything. Don't worry. We're going to give you to read soon. We're just working it out properly. But not yet. We have some words to change in there. Yeah. So you can't come in the church. And we're not going to leave you out here. Come, Sam. Come on, Bob. Go in there. You listen to the sermon now from down there. You hear? All right. And that's it. So we can talk about what's going on in Africa and El Nino Castle and all of that, but that's right here. Right here. The bars underneath the church while they're worshiping, the church where no Negroes can go into. But you can go underneath of it. Now, this is what I'm saying, family. Now, that history is not really told in schools. Even here in Antigua, our rich national history is not told in schools or taught in schools, much less African history. I advocate for so-called local history too, you know. Yes, I do. I mean, that's African history. If we can talk about the Olmec people, that's African history, isn't it? Okay, where are they? In South and Central America. Well, exactly. So where are we? We're in the islands of the Caribbean, many of us in the North America. This is African history continuing because the Africans are here. So all of this is African history. We don't even get this in the schools. This is what we advocate for. So listen, I've been advocating for African history for at least 15 years in the schools. There have others prior to I within this same nation that has been advocating for that. If we had a strong culture, not just a subject, if we had a strong culture from the educational, foundational perspective, the society as it relates to the youths, which will become older people, will be better. You see, but this takes serious planning. That's why I said in my speech, we don't just react. A lot of what we are seeing is reaction. But we like to be proactive. That is why we've been striking this same chord for at least 15 years. Let's get African history in the schools because we know the value of it. And to me, right now, I've passed African history, you know. This is more than African history. It's not a subject anymore. We really need to reconnect with our ancient African principles, values, heritage. Hmm. There's a thing that we practice around here called Carnival. If you were to see Carnival, let's say in the 1960s, it wouldn't look nothing like what you would see 3 weeks ago. Carnival just came to an end. Nothing like that. Nothing like that. What they refer to as carnival, and you see, the history here is mystic because that's not necessarily the term, But you would see something that would appear as if it came out of the ancient Songhai kingdom. You have the ancient people, the Bobo people in West Africa that would practice the science of the mask, where they cover themselves in the leaves of the trees and they come and perform specific dances for you. Remember, as we said before, in ancient Africa, all the different traditional dances were connected to the cosmos. They were connected, if it's not to the Sirius binary system, they were connected to the Orion Nebula, or they were connected to the Andromeda constellation or the Andromeda galaxy, pardon me, or the Andromeda constellation as well, because there's the galaxy Andromeda and there's the constellation Andromeda. So they're connected to it all. And all of these different tribal dances, which there are so many, too numerous to even start to try to count. All of them are connected to the heavens. You could get this information in the I think it's the 4-volume History of Africa that was prepared by UNESCO not too long ago. Within that, it speaks of all the different African traditions that has these different dances that they do. They're all connected to the cosmos. That's the movements of the heavens. So when you see not just the Dogons alone, somehow we just into the Dogon thing, but it goes way beyond the Dogons. It's all of us, every tribe, all the Akan people, Shanti Fanti, Dan and Twi, whoever it is, Shafu, and whoever it is, whatever tribe, whatever people, Bantu people, whatever. And they're dancing barefoot and they're hopping. They have some different hops and war dance. Everything is connected to the heavens. They're mirroring the Milky Way, or they are even the dervish. You see the dervish, all of that is the cycle of the heavens as well. So dance in general is connected to the heavens, but African dance is totally cosmic. That's where Carnival came from. That's the Carnival you would see in the 1960s. The Carnival that you saw 2 weeks ago, I don't know which constellation that's aligned with. I don't know which star system that is moving in sync with. I mean, it's just pure bacchanal, carnival, bacchanal, Bacchus, the god of drunkenness. It's and that is how serious it is, royal family. And this is why, again, so don't you think it would be of such a value for the young mind to understand at least where this revelry is coming from? Now, I myself, at least, I am young enough to can remember when it wasn't this bad. I mean, I can only look at all the films to see how it was in the 60s. And it was even different. By the time I started to witness so-called carnival, it already started to go downhill. But there was still a certain level of Afrocentricity that I would have seen in it, especially now as a historian and a researcher. I can see, hey, but look there. When I was young, we had a lot of this around, different characters, the whip, the whip. That's an ancient African tradition. And the man with the horns, what we call the John Bull, and the walking on the stilts, all of these things. And as I said, even the covering with the bush, all of these things, that's not around now. They try to reenact it sometimes to show people this is what the old carnival was like. What's the new carnival now all about? Put on a t-shirt and let's wet it down. Let's see who can wear the skimpiest clothes. You know what they call the thong? This ain't no thong, this is string. I'm not playing, I'm telling you what they say. They have different troops, mass troops. And they have a specific, this year itself, I hear them talking about it, the strings. So the whole outfit is just string. So there may be a bottle stopper, maybe to cover the nipples, and a cup to cover the parts below. And everything else is just strings. Please don't be upset with me. This is live and direct, midday in the day. Thousands of people in their string, sweating and rubbing up on one another, people that don't even know one another. Strings. And that now, as I said, if you were to take that back 50, 60 years, You see something 60 years specifically, you see something that appears as if it came right out of the heart of Africa. So this is why education is so important. You may mount the argument of your carnival festivities, but that's not my point. My point is knowing where it came from and its origin. You see, when you edify the young mind, you allow the young mind to think. A lot of youths don't have no space to think because they have not been given enough education to think about anything. That's how you make decisions, you know. You have information to feed on. The more you know is the better decision you can make. That's why you be saying, yeah, man, we go in here. This is the place. And yes, this is the place. I look at all the facts. Yeah, but did you know so and so and so? Oh, wow, I didn't know that. Wow, I gotta reconsider this now. I mean, we go through, everybody goes through that. That's how it is with education in general. So the more that you know is the better decision you can literally make because you have a lot of information. This is why we need to cultivate an atmosphere of reading. We can do it as a nation, you know. I'm talking about this little 108 square miles. It's a shame. It's a shame. I can say this now. It's a shame in this little space where there was a time when everyone was family, that right now it's just totally loose. And it is the younger generations that call in the shots, literally the shots. These youths don't get no inspiration. No individual of and then that's another thing. That's another thing. Don't get me wrong, we have a lot of people around here that we can utilize. You know, a lot of historians, a lot of business people that would have excelled, you know, that can inspire the young ones. Some of them may not have that on the agenda, you know. I myself would have reached out to others to partner with me in reaching out to the young ones. Some of them would do that, and some maybe just the time. But again, of course, you know the works that we do here. We reach out to a lot of schools. We have, as I said in the speech I gave earlier, we would have fostered a good relationship with many schools on the island. Maybe not as much as we would like to, but many is obviously being relative when I said many. Not most, but many. Yeah, let me put it that way. Uh, but it could be better. As I said in the speech I gave, from my heart, I would prefer to have a good relationship with the Ministry of Education. Not that I have a bad relationship with, but it's just that over the years, you know, my agenda is a strong Afrocentric agenda. And this is my community, my family. Everyone knows what I do, you know. I ain't got no prison record. And not that if you have a prison record mean you're a bad person. I only said it in that way to show you even on the on that level and even on a moral level, I ain't got no prison record. The point I'm making is in the society, I am good. You get what I'm saying? I just don't want to try to make myself look like no, you know, my paradigm of virtue or anything, but I'm all right. Nobody can say anything about me. So I don't really, it's not like I'm walking around with scars. So the point I'm making is that my agenda, again, is obvious. We would have put together, as I said earlier, the document preserve the generations to come, well detailed on how we can take the child from the womb and start to edify them. The things within our educational systems that we should get rid of totally, especially when it comes to the young minds, all of these cartoons and funny characters that we put in front of them. You carry a little child to the daycare or to the nursery, you have to be greeted by Oscar the Grouch and and Grover and Big Bird and Bugs Funny. And that is psychologically damaging them right away from the get-go. Hmm. Family, this is very serious, you know. You don't have to mention the video games, Resident Evil and whatever they have now. All you have to do, philosophers would tell you there's always been good and there's always been bad. I understand what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Maybe the religious will tell you that's not the case, but the philosopher, I understand. I get you. But I'm sure that if you carry your mind, even 200 years in the past amongst your people, it was nothing like this. It's obvious that on the planet, there is a massive moral breakdown. Big, big, big time. And I'm saying that colonialism is behind of all of that. And neo-colonialism is fueling a lot of that. Man, you got to understand now again, the entertainment world, the music and everything has a lot of influence. Because that's what the music is saying, who can shot the most and shot the most. You understand? Yeah, yeah. And the filthy hip hop and the filthy dance hall and yeah. Fellas do anything I say like my name was Simon. I mean, I tell you, yeah, dropping a few bars there for you, but they ain't no joke. So I always like to put on the table. Maybe maybe when I was a teenager and all of that, it was a slightly different time. Not that long ago, you know. But I would have walked through the fire. I don't think there's anything I wasn't exposed to myself. Yeah, I was exposed to it all. Whatever was offered at that time, I was exposed to it. Yeah. I could have been anyone. I could have been anything. I could have been anything. I wasn't too far away from being whatever it is that people are. I'm sure about that. I wasn't tied down. I wasn't locked down. I was a little free youth that could do what I want and go where I have to go, at least at a specific age. Let me put it that way. It wasn't always so, obviously. But at a specific age, I was free. Just make sure you come back early. That's all I would get. Make sure you come home early. Yeah. So I understand. So I gone to the next village. I gone to the next town. As a youth, jump on my bike, meet new friends, go and play basketball, listen to different conversations, see things, then go home. That's it. So I could have taken any road. I could have joined gangs too. I could have, for sure. I could have all sort of things. Get involved with women, all sort of things as a little child and follow the fellas to go and do the wrong thing. Yeah. And the music, it was there. I always say when I was listening to hip hop, many people were not listening to hip hop. When Public Enemy and Eric B. and Rakim and KRS-One, that was no big thing around here. I wasn't too into the gangster rap, but I knew it. I knew it. You understand? I knew it. I knew it all. When Snoop Dogg came out, I had the album. I knew it from top to bottom, but I just didn't like that kind of stuff. I didn't like the smutty stuff too much, and but I could sing it. I could sing it. I could repeat it. And yeah, and literally sing it, but somehow it just never took me. Now that may just be me. And I didn't have no mentor. I chose my heroes. Yeah. And I just moved through life until I'm the priest Isaac that you know today. Now, left on their own, I don't think every youth could just go through like me. I don't know what it was. In fact, I wasn't thinking at the time like I'm just trying to get through my younger days without getting caught up in the wrong thing. I wasn't think I was just living and just doing what I got to do, seeking or trying to find my way through life, if you want to say that. As a youth, what's the next step? But I'm trying to show your family that the regular boy and girl today needs guidance, guidance, guidance. Real guidance. Many of us are not aware that one speech can change someone's life forever. Some of us or some children are so void of any inspiration that you visiting their school and giving them a 20-minute speech change them forever. Yes, they don't get it every day. And some people who get it every day may not appreciate it as much as the child that has been thirsty for this from the time that they were born. And right now they're 13 years old. And it's African History Month, and Priest Isaac is coming to talk about his African History Month competition. But of course, in the midst of that, Priest Isaac is going to show you who Imhotep is. Priest Isaac is going to show you who built the Great Pyramid of Giza. And he's going to show you some stars as well, and show you Winnie Mandela and who is the real Mandela, and show you the Olmec people and Marcus Garvey. And when he done, you're going to say, wow, boy, this Rasta man powerful. That's what they say. I'm not asking you. Standing ovation. More Rasta man, give us some more. Okay, okay, Priest Isaac has to go. Oh, I don't really have to go, teacher. Well, they have to go to class. Yeah, well, it's you have to go, not me. Yeah. That stuck on somebody's heart. That would have moved me. I know that. It moved somebody. So if that little episode, a 20-minute speech at a morning devotion can move someone to make them begin to think differently, because you must keep in mind, Imhotep is in the crowd. What else I mentioned? The Olmec is in the crowd. The builder of the Great Pyramid is in the same crowd. So although he never hear about no Great Pyramid, although he never hear about no Imhotep, all he hear about is, LeBron James, no disrespect to him, but sports and games then. Sorry to disrespect him. He all right by himself. Sports and games. All he hear about is sports and games. All he hear about is music and movies and car racing and all of that. That's all he hear about. Never hear about Imhotep. But the moment he see Imhotep picture, something touch him. Why? Because he is Imhotep. Eh. He is the same Khufu. He is the same Olmec. He is the same Garvey. If it's one thing, if Garvey see himself, he will know himself right away. And that is what happened. This is why education is so important. And they're not getting this. The teacher said they have to go to class. What do you think they're going to go to class to learn now? All right, children, page 34, page 34. Let's continue from where we were. All right, so Christopher Columbus now, what year did he come to the West Indies? Can anybody tell me? That's what they're going to class to learn. Oh, teacher that again. That's what they're going to class to learn. When I was in school, fellas used to bring guns to school, eh? When I was in school, eh? That's a while back there. Fellas used to bring guns, real guns to school. I don't like to bring doom and gloom, but if we don't take a real handle of this situation, you're gonna hear some real headline news. The lights, the likes of which you don't want to hear at all. You see, like how the young pretty princess get chopped up, them kind of levels there. I'm going to repeat what I said. When I was at Antigua Grammar School, they have fellas that would bring their guns to school and show you. I want them times I don't want no beard in my face, eh? And I don't think we as a people or as a society has been going up the hill on a moral standards. Maybe we're building finer houses today, but as a moral or morality, I don't think we're going up the hill. I think we're going down the hill. I wouldn't doubt you're gonna hear about some shooting in school. I must say, I'm not sorry about too many things, but I'm sorry I have to say it, but I see that. But true education would assist in alleviating that. This is not no quick fix I giving you. This is not no bandage I put in on a sore. We like a lot of that. We react. So education is key. The Honorable Prime Minister spoke of an educational program as it relates to um, um, anti-gang. Well, of course, we were listening to it live, so I may have to listen to it again. But I know he did speak of some level of education as it relates to getting into the schools and addressing the whole aspect of gangs with the young ones to try to deter them from joining gangs. I'm not sure if he spoke of anything else as it relates to education. But this is why I have to enter the arena now with education. So maybe surveillance and security and getting more weapons and sniffer dogs. Okay, everyone has their job to do. But as far as the edifying now of the young minds, that is the agenda that I am pushing. Because you see, this may sound, well, let me put it this way. I hope it doesn't sound insensitive to many at this time. But there's nothing wrong with gangs. We are a, that's what we are. We're a communal people. We come together. No, we know what we're talking about when we say gangs. I'm not going to be like a playing with semantics here. No, that's not what I'm doing. I'm very serious. We don't want to destroy that ancient concept of us grouping together and as a pack. Because gangs, as they call them, have a lot of that with it. The original gangs wasn't to go and fight nobody. It was almost like a street fraternity there. It was like brethren coming together on the street, and this is our crew. Some of them used to be blood brothers, them kind of thing, cut themselves and make the blood, all of that stuff. And all it means is that I'm going to stand for you and you're going to stand for me. It's just like the Masons and the Lodge. They stand for each other in there. That's a brotherhood. That's their crew. That's their clique. They gang together when they need one another. So we want to actually, to me, I would actually nourish and nurture that concept of farming brotherhoods. I would actually, so I wouldn't kill that at all. In fact, I don't think you have to even attack that to attack the problem. But you definitely have to get to the edification aspect. I do hear our commissioner of police asking for the public to assist, not to just find criminals, but in whatever innovative ways we can bring something to the table, especially to assist the youths. All right, there it is. The Police Week is actually coming up in September. I will be writing an official letter to the police, which I would have done several times, asking them to allow me to be a guest speaker at one of their special gatherings so I could have a quick, even if it's a 15-minute word with the law enforcement officers. I'm sure I would have good things to tell them. I would inspire them. I would show them the reality of what's happening on the ground. Yeah. Listen, man, KRS said, whoop, whoop, that's the sound of the police. It's the truth. Okay? Where the officer and the overseer, listen, let's not run from it. It's reality. But we know that in any civilized society, you do need security. So if this is it, well, let us reform it now. We don't want to think of too much force. It's the police force, eh? And we understand it is His Majesty's force too, not Haile Selassie, His Majesty, the King of England. That's what it's his royal police force. But since I mentioned His Majesty, many people are not aware. But read the Black Supremacy Code. King Emmanuel say, he run all army and police in them British former colonial islands. It's a very deep thing. So I am very open and ready to work along with the peacekeeping officers so that in whatever way we can assist in the keeping of the peace. No, but we do work along with, you must understand that I'm a child counselor as well. And there have been cases where I would have to literally come and be mediator between police and young people. There's a specific unit they call the Child Prevention Unit here in Antigua, which is run by one Inspector Morgan, Sister Morgan. And I've been working with Sister Morgan for, wow, quite a while. Um, dealing with a lot of troubled youths and these things. She herself could take a lot more assistance from whatever it is or whoever it is that funds that specific project. I can tell you that for sure. And usually it is wayward young ones, whether it's in school or other places, that they send to her. And she counsels them. Right now she's doing a program. Right now she's doing a program in the area that people refer to as the ghetto. And it's more with children from that society or that environment. And I think this week she said they will be meeting with the parents. And so we are part of different things, family. I'm just trying to show you as anything that can get to the young ones. I know everybody likes to listen to the Tiger's Nest and we're having a good time. but I just want ones to understand specifically the seriousness of the works that we do as it relates to getting to the youths and literally edifying them on who they really are. So this is just the beginning, because this whole campaign is about freedom, redemption, international repatriation. That's another thing all by itself. Our goals may be different than the other people who are speaking goals. You see, the goal of our goals is what fuels you. Or the main goal and your targets. So you have a main goal. I have a goal. I have a goal. And my intention is to get to the goal. I'm a tiger, so I am a strategist. I'm not going to be jumping here and there trying to get to the goal. I'm going to literally lay low, observe the scene, and carve out my plan, plot, and see exactly where I'm going to attack to get this target, and then get that target, and then the next target, and then throw down 4 targets one time until I get to the ultimate goal. So even if I don't hit my goal is supposed to be so big that even if I only get 10% of my goal, you're supposed to be looking at me and say, wow, that's a serious accomplishment there. And that's just 10% of what we really wanted to do. That's why you must have big goals. Think big, no little thinking. No, even that, Even that. No, outside of just your African history and heritage. I spoke of in the presentation I gave earlier. There's a specific fund, entrepreneurial fund, that has been set up by the government of Antigua and Barbuda, more so the Prime Minister. In fact, it's called the Prime Minister's Fund. And it's really a loan, but the I think it's 2%. It's either 1% or 2%, some little percent as far as paying back that loan. I can't remember what period of time you get to pay it back. And I think you can get between 8, 10, 20, 30, $40,000. But anyway, why I'm highlighting that is because just the whole idea or concept of being business people is not something that you are learning in school. Remember, the school stuff is considered to be the place, This is where you come to get your education, to literally be who you're going to be, carve out your career, etc. For most of us, the school thing is almost like just a waste of time, man. You just meet people that you may run into again in life that maybe can assist you to move to the next level. But again, when you understand now the whole aspect of business, and you're given a business mind, I mean, that is one of the best gifts you can give someone. Just the thought, just the ability to think like an achiever, someone that wants to succeed, not just get a good education. That's the formula for success that we've been taught. Get a good education. Your mama never go to college and them kind of talk. It is you now. The family is depending on you to bring home your certificate or your diploma. Once upon a time, it was diploma. You bring home a diploma. I mean, wow. Now we pass diploma now. You bring home a degree. Wow. Now we pass degree now. If you're not bringing home a PhD, some people don't want to even see. There's so many PhDs around. Some of them looking for a job. Many of them looking for work. PhDs, Hmm. Okay. Most millionaires and billionaires have no PhD. Most millionaires and billionaires have no degree at all. Some of them never even graduated from college. Many of them drop out of school. I'm not talking about drug dealers and hustlers. I'm talking about people that use their wits, use their smarts, and created an avenue to continually capitalize to the point that they're comfortable now. Many of them have created generational wealth. Many of them are financially free because they learned the secret. They understood that, hey, listen, man, this is a mind game. Number one, I got to check how I think about myself. You understand? I have to understand. I have to comprehend that I have the ability to succeed. And this is why, again, even I got to come back to your Afrocentricity. I got to come back to what Marcus Garvey said, people without knowledge of self. So if you don't know who you are, if you don't know who you are, how can you be confident in yourself and you don't even know yourself? It begins with knowing yourself. Then you can say, yeah, I'm confident in myself. So when people talk about they're confident in themselves and they don't know themselves, they're not really confident in themselves. They're just acting something they learned somewhere. But when you know yourself, what you're going to say, wait, that's who I am? Okay, you're getting it now. Wait. Hold on. Tell me that story again. That's where I came from? Me? Wow, that's my people? We did that already? You joking, man. No, man. Listen, man. You've empowered me. And then you see, knowledge is another thing. When you understand the system that you are around, we, my grandson just graduated. He's in the army now. Yes, he's going to Iraq to fight. I'm so proud of him. That's where we reach. That almost anything that looks like accomplishment in this world that will satisfy us. He's a Navy SEAL, you know? Oh, that's very good. And as I said, I'm all for security. But when you know your history, when you know your modern day political geopolitics today, as we speak, they're having a convention in Chicago for the Democratic Party. A lot of people in the Democratic Party are protesting the Democratic Party. Last night, some people dropped a banner, something about Palestine. And the Democratic Party refuses to stop supporting the slaughter and the genocide that's happening in Palestine, no matter what Joe Biden said last night. But we are proud. Again, our son graduated. He's now in the army, and yeah, we're very proud of him. When you join the Marines and these things, you must have your photograph with you in your uniform. And that's we have accomplished something there. We think so little of ourselves. We have totally forgotten our standard, that we are trying our best to live up to the standard of our oppressor. So the standard of dress is our oppressor's standard. The standard of diplomacy is our oppressor's standard. The standard of anything that we will hold and consider to be important going forward is the standard of our oppressor. I mean, in my book again, as you can see, this is not a hater here. This is a realistic thinker. And you know, we encourage education all the way. Whatever you can get to say, yeah, I've been there and I done that, I don't have no problem with that at all. But you must understand that if you really looking to succeed, it's not about getting the best job. It's about knowing your way around the forest. Yeah, that's why street smarts is important too. And business smarts is important too. So when we start to edify the young minds early about, not just saving money, all of that is mix up stuff. Saving money. You saving the money drowning? No, you don't save money, you use money. You utilize, you invest it. Turn $1 into 10 and 10 into 100 as fast as you can. It can be done. You don't have to have no job for that. And if it's a job you're depending on, that you can't do that in a job. Minimum wage. Boss, can I get a raise? That's the job. But you see, when we put a certain thought pattern in the mind of a child, even though they have a good quote unquote job, they still can use the same job and create another job. Just because of the wits and the smarts and how they handle themselves. But we don't teach these things. That's my point. That sort of skill to go out into the world and multiply financially. We're not taught that. We're not even inspired on that level. Nowhere taught. Now, this is not by chance. In fact, this was well orchestrated. So we are addressing our problems, all of us. We are addressing our ailments. We are addressing all the things we see around us crumbling down. But we are addressing it not from the right perspective. We're not even admitting that this is all by design. No, but we can't see that. We cannot see the connection with what's happening around us and all of the minerals that they're stealing from the Congo, because we're disconnected from who we really are. So we cannot link that with this. If I was to say that, you will say, so wait, what that have to do with anything that's going on over here? So we've become numb, totally disconnected from ourselves. So my main thing here is education. I may be the lone voice that is fully advocating this. But if we are going to see a betterment for the generations here and the generations unborn, as I said today, we need a rigorous educational program. I already have it on paper. It can be implemented. In fact, I implement what I can implement. It's not a one-man show or one gang show. We have a society of people, not just the government, We don't come and be talking about, well, the government. We have people that are not in government. It doesn't need the 17 people that governs the cabinet. There are tens of thousands of people that hear our voice. and say that they're concerned. In the same way, those of us who are concerned can come together as well and get the job done. I don't know what it is that we have to wait on any government to do. People, when you see something needs to be done, just mobilize and get it done. Yes, governments have a responsibility, I agree, but you can't sit and cry and wait forever. If one can run 1,000, two can run 10,000, three, 100,000. So those who have like minds, unite and get it done. So if you want to feed hungry people, go and see if somebody else is trying it and say, hey, what are you doing? You want us team up? Because we need to feed these people, man. Yeah, man, because I sick and tired of seeing these people down there starving. And y'all go and feed them. So that's where it is, royal family. I'm just letting you know that your brother is on the job. You know, this is what I do. I'm observing the scene in the little rock that I spend most of my time at. And again, sometimes people don't understand the seriousness of it until it reaches to them. One of the brothers that was murdered a few days ago was a good brother of mine. Very, very good brother of mine. And even although we are in mourning as Africans, just traditionally, it's just something, you know. Sometimes things take a while before it touch you and hit you. And the same good brother, you know, he would have lost his son in the same way, the same time, basically. Remember we talking about gun violence, eh? That's the topic, right? So that's what I'm saying. That's how close the events of the last month are. That you could find almost 5 out of every 10 person could say, well, something that would have happened in the last month or 3 or 4 months would have affected them as well in some way or the other. So let's take care of the youth family, please. Those who are listening, let's take care of the youths with structural programs. Wherever you are, if you know you can do it, do so. But you see, as I said again today, it comes from the heart space. You have to have a heart for this. You'll give up, eh? You will just be saying, yeah, the youths, them, we can say that. Enough people say that. The youths, them, the youth and them, and the youths. But how many of us have taken the youths at heart to the point that we create a whole career and make this our daily work to affect the youths? Even though I teach adults, you know, my penetration is getting to the youths. Sometimes even the adults don't even love themselves enough. I'm serious. To give the knowledge to the youths. Many of you that are in the consciousness, you don't pass it on to your children. That's for sure. As if you just leave them to figure it out for themselves. What you know, you should be diligently giving it to them, and rather worse, we giving them to the school but yet still we neither debriefing them or putting the right knowledge in their heads. Those of you that have children that are already teenagers, and many of you would have raised children that are adults, you know that at a certain time you can see that this ain't no joke. When they're not little and cute anymore and they start to think for themselves and go on their own way, and yeah. So you need from an early age, the youth's early age, you need to start to put the requisite knowledge in their heads, the requisite morality. That's why we should have a community that if you think you can't do it, somebody else can do it, because we have a community doing it. It's obvious that the subject area is close to my heart. So I am very thankful for you um, spending such a lengthy time with me this evening here. Yes, we're thankful to the Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Gaston Brown, for his words and just the fact that he would have come and addressed the nation. We at the Institute, we appreciate that. And as I would have said, even him is an individual that I reach out to on occasions. And I myself, I will be reaching out to the Honorable Prime Minister, even as it relates to a follow-up towards addressing our youths. He obviously has his techniques in order. I think I have a different way of looking at it as it relates to edifying. So I would hope and pray all the different ideas could literally not only come together, but synergize and make, our community a better space for all of us. Brothers and sisters that are listening, you know, sometimes a lot of us, we grow up too fast, and a lot of us, we take too long to grow up. It's the exact same thing. Some of us that grow up too fast, it's not that we grow up too fast, but we're taking too long to grow up. I wonder if you understand what I'm saying. We have a phrase in Antigua called force ripe. That means when you take a fruit and try to force it to ripe before it's time. And you see the lack of guidance, that is such a serious thing in our society. So we as the lawmakers and those who are in charge, we the leaders, again, we have to find ways to get that mentorship back in our society. And then we can talk other things. We need to get that mentorship back in the society. Don't get me wrong, I don't want no one to misunderstand me, As far as the violence on the street, of course, it definitely needs to be arrested, without a doubt. I'm looking at the long term, and I'm looking at how many traffic stops we have tonight. I'm looking at the long term reality. I'm looking at the spirit and the soul of human beings, a people, and a nation. If we want to preserve the land, if we want to preserve the community, we have to preserve the generations to come. Yes, I thank you. I bid everyone good night. Holy Manuel I, Selassie I, Jah.